Hello guys, it's me Obly. I'm here with a very exciting video. So this is a walkthrough of Mists plus 11, but it's with the Shattered Frost build. So here we have it. This is the talents that I'm running here. Improved frost strike damage for sure because of the Shattered Frost bonus. We're not running Long Winter either. We do have Frost and Fury of course, and we have lower Frost and Fury cooldown too. But here we go. So the stats are about the same. So I'm still running high crit and then equal mastery.
Collect or stand in circle.
Doing the double on use, I find that this is way better when it comes to your burst here, because you don't have tons of burst all the time. So having double on use does help that. I have a little weak aura there that shows me who has 5 stacks of Razorice. The main thing I'm doing here is still the same as breath, but just without breath. So Diff Decay comes down, Remorseless is down, and I'm spamming the shit out of Obliterate. If I have a killer machine, I spend it. If I don't have a killer machine, I'm thinking about spending my 5 Razorice stacks instead of my Rhyme, because that has more priority over Rhyme, does more damage. If I don't have anything with 5 stacks, then I'll Rhyme, but if I can search for another mob that does have 5 stacks, I'll just hit that instead. So here we go, another on-use trinket as well as Pillar. We don't have Empower and we don't have Frostworm, but that's okay. So I'm just churning out Obliterates. I think sometimes because I'm relatively new to playing Shattering Frost, they're not quite always pressing the right button in terms of Howling Blast or Frost Strike. So this is the first time I'm watching this clip back. There we go. Literally just done this now and then doing the voice over straight afterwards. Picking up the mushroom. So you see there, even without like Frost and Fury and Empower Room Weapon, we still do about 2.5 mil to this pack. Now pulling the 2 giants here. The annoying thing about being double on use is that your trinkets are misaligned because of the cooldown reduction.
Jump
so
3
next
times.
week this will be a lot more. It will just play a lot better next week as opposed to this week. Having the double on use does make the spec feel a lot better to play, I'll be honest. Having 1 on use, you don't really know when you're supposed to press it. Do you pair it with Empower? Do you just do it on cooldown? What do you line up? Having double on use, you don't really have that problem. On 2 target cleave, I really want to get Remorseless out quickly and do the same thing where I'm just spamming Obliterate. I think Obliterate killer machines do take priority here. That's why you still go really high crit build, because Icy Death Torrent and Obliterate still is your highest hitting ability. Shattering Frost does a lot, but it doesn't do as much as you think it would. Here we go, setting up here. While the boss doesn't have its reduced damage taken debuff, I will do some cleave. You may as well. I'm just sending Pillar here. I'm not sending my Empower Room Weapon, that's what I wanted to say. Not sending that, I'm keeping 1 trinket for the phase and Empower Room Weapon. Okay, so I'm just setting up a little bit here. It feels quite nice to play, I'll be honest. You don't really come into many starving issues. But here we have the boss is going to phase very soon. Didn't put my D&D down because its damage reduction came, so I didn't think it'd be worth it. Void Emissary at the same time as well, so we get some additional versatility when we kill this guy.
Jump 3 times.
Get Power Infusion as well, which is quite nice. I don't think Power Infusion is quite as big as it is on Breath, but it's still nice to get it. I think realistically the Shaman should have got it here. Managed to get all my buffs up and refresh my Remorseless, which is great. I think a couple more seconds and I maybe would have been able to hit that 3 mil mark. But we still absolutely fucking shit all over that boss. Even the priest is impressed. Wow. Alright, going into this next part. The Balance Druid said that he will pull the pack to the right, but he fails. So that's why I don't put my cooldown straight away here, otherwise I would have. Okay, so yeah, he says there that you missed it, so I just think, fuck it, okay, I'm going to pop now. So the main things, it's quite a simple rotation here. If it's got the glowy frame and I don't have a killer machine buff, then I press Frost Strike on it. So the order would be Obliterate, then Frost Strike, then Rhyme afterwards. Being a natural breath player, it's quite difficult to get out of that that habit of pressing Rhyme. The reason you want to do Froststrike before Rhyme is that your auto attacks can give you another 5 stats quite quickly.
Jump 3
Everything
times.
give you 5 stats quite quickly, to be fair. Rhyme as well will give you. Alright, the Shaman's just destroying this pack, so I decided, yeah, fuck it, go on in, I'll send some cooldowns, why not. Empower wasn't quite ready there. And a higher key, maybe I'd save them and do them all together, but I don't really want to risk losing casts because I'm trying to hold so much. I think on a higher key that would have been fine, but in this low key, in level 11, there's no point really holding there. Because I pretty much have, breath is almost back now. Got a couple of seconds left on that. I would have just wasted a cast if I held. In this where I don't have anything, I'm pretty much just using Death and Decay and Remorseless Winter as my like mini cooldowns, my pseudo cooldowns. Would have been nice to get the refresh from Remorseless Cells really close, but I think mechanics just pushed me out of the way. I was thinking about putting down another D&D, but then I thought, oh, the mobs are really going to die quite quickly. There's no real point. So these packs are getting annihilated by the other players. You'll see at the end of the dungeon, the DPS is still really good, even though these guys are taking DPS from me. I actually think that maybe this will be viable in a higher key, so something like 13. I think once you get to 15, 16s, then you need the prior damage, but I think 13, 14, this is actually just fine. I do struggle with single target actually in this build as well, which we'll see later, which is where breath will be better. But here we have a full go. We have everything. Not quite the burst that breath normally puts out, so I think if this was a breath pool, maybe you'd be looking at like 7 mil. But it is way more consistent. Because on the next pool, I'll do not very much on a breath pool. But it's actually fine here. I think the next one actually might be George Gullet. Okay. See, I go. Everyone else is playing the game but me here.
Collect or stand in
So
circle.
it's George Gullet, Mr. George Gullet the Frog. So just send. So this is the first time in the dungeon where I can see what type of single target I'm actually doing. I think it's something along the realm of like a mill. That's not amazing, but to be fair, if I was breathing, I would have to send my breath right now. It happens every single dungeon. I would have to breathe right now, and I would probably end up around about the same damage by the time George dies. Everyone's doing a mill, everyone's at least popular cooldowns. Right now I'm going to soak this with AMS and Lichborn. Don't quite need to use IBF because it's not that that punishing with AMS, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't die there. Getting that Everfrost refresh. If I don't get Gathering Storm refresh, at least I got the Everfrost. That's 60% increased Remorseless Winter damage, and you'll see here that Remorseless Winter that is still very important when it comes to AoE damage for the entire dungeon in this build. Healer dead. I was thinking about popping my cooldowns again. I think maybe I probably should have, because I think we've got time, or we would have had time. But at least this next pool I'll have full cooldowns to go. So I definitely could have popped my other cooldowns, my cooldowns again on that fight, because the MSO would have brought them all back. Alright, MSO down. I haven't got many pools left before the boss.
Collect or stand in circle.
Refreshed my Icy Talons quickly because I saw it was dropping off and it had 4, so I thought I'll just quickly do that before I send my burst. Now I got to 5, got a weapon proc, Bosh. Sent off my frost to him. He fucking Shaman stole all my DPS again. That's fine. I think to really find out if this is actually a viable spec or not, or the true damage values of this spec, I have to do a higher key. I think 11s just won't cut it, or at least just do keys where everyone isn't really good. Okay, just pop in. Do we pop? I think we do pop the end here. Yeah, there we go. Main thing I'm focusing on again, just to batter this home, is if I've got a Killer Machine proc and D&D down, I'm pressing that. If I have nothing and I'm choosing between Rhyme or I'm choosing between a 5-stack Frost Strike, it's a 5-stack Frost Strike every time. But you don't really play the game other than that. That is that's your priority always. There's nothing really else to say. All right, on to the next boss. So thinking about my cooldowns here, it's going to be quite nice to have the timing come back when it does, because the fox should spawn. You can also get an extra frostpop stack by
collect or stand in circle.
So I just decided to just do that. The paladin tank there doing 1,000,000 damage. That is pretty mental. If I have 2 stacks of Killing Machine on single target, I'm using that second stack instantly. If I have 1 stack, but I have 5... Oh, tank dead. If I have 5 Razorice stacks, but 1 stack of Killing Machine, I'll do the Frost Strike. I'm thinking here, right, what do I want to pull? I could have burst. I could have got an additional 8% mastery on that one. I didn't. I think I was too focused on defences. I didn't even press mine though. I think I was looking at other people's health frames. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm shit. Drop him now. See, the single target isn't shit. It's actually quite alright. I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it was, but it's actually pretty decent. I think when you play the additional Frost Strike damage instead of additional Runic Power, which most people do when you play AoE Mythic Plus, it makes up for it. Getting this guy down very quickly. Could have been could have used defensive, but didn't. Wanted that Void Emissary down before I pulled because I wanted the extra versatility. And
collect
I
or
lost
stand in
my
circle,
Rider, which was the saddest part of that whole thing. Now I could have saved Frost and Fury for more buffs, but I really want to have all of my riders out while my pillars rolling, especially with my pillar and trinket. I really want all my riders, so I'm just sending that straight away. The optimal play here is to send it as soon as possible. I was a bit like, which clone am I supposed to hit here? But I realised it's actually the one that I'm already on, so I run all the way back. Good thing I have the horse. Never kill this guy. Or girl. At the end of the fight there, we leave Mistcaller on 1 and a bit million. I think we probably could have done a little bit more with more experience on the spec. But by no means is that shit damage on Mistcaller. Okay, so we're going in for the Staghorn. I've got some cooldowns and I don't really feel like holding them, so I'm just going to go. Now, I was worried that maybe the Emissary might spawn at some point, or I just would end up wasting a cast because maybe nobody else would pop their cooldowns, so I just feel like it's worth popping mine. I am going to keep my Fury, however, for the next pack. I was debating putting another Death and Decay down. I think in theory I probably should have. I kind of wanted to gauge what the AoE would be like without D&D, but I think if I'd have pressed it, I would have done a lot more there. I think if we finished the pack on 2.5 mil, I think the additional D&D cost would have been really important to maybe get me to either 3 or like maybe 2.8 to 3. Got a little bit unlucky with the horse.
Jump 3 times.
I thought the horse would maybe spawn for me. Pre-prepping my trinkets. This is going to be a big pull. I cast Remorseless Winter really early here. I shouldn't have done that. I don't end up getting a big one, and I don't end up actually being able to refresh it either, which is very costly. So that was gone at 6 stacks, which is not great. Very late Remorseless cast. That should have been a lot earlier, but we move. End up not doing a tremendous amount of damage in the big pool normally. With the breath, though, that would have been decent, but I would have dropped everything because it would have been dead so quick. Here I don't have anything, which is a bit of a shame because I don't think many people actually had anything either. But you can see that without anything, with no buffs, no nothing, just Remorseless Winter and D&D, you're only doing around about 1.5 mil. Not even that. Yeah, I think that was more like 1.2 mil. Pop the cooldowns at the end here. Don't really want to hold on to them for the next pack. Realistically, with this build, the best thing you can do is just be sending as much as possible because of how pillar focused it is. Holding cooldowns with this build is not the play. Get Void Emissary during this pull, which is quite nice. And a death, which is not nice. Right,
Collect
so
or
really
stand
I
in
to press
circle.
that last Bone Grinder, and I got it. Fantastic. I almost dropped that 4, but now for my burst at the end here, I have a full Bone Grinder stack, which is sick. So 4 mil overall, not overall, 4 mil on that pack there. It's pretty decent, and it was really sketchy. It's not like I managed. It's not like we're really pulling much around my cooldowns. Shattering Frost on that that pull did quite a tremendous amount of damage as well. Got a bit of a caught off guard here. Didn't think we were going to pull the boss, but we did. So I have no cooldowns to start this off with. Now this is actually okay because the pillar being in the cooldown that it is means that it should line up with the ads, and I can get some extra mastery stats here. We did Lust though, which is kind of annoying because it means I'm doing my cooldowns late into Lust. I'm thinking about my trinket, thinking about do I want to just line it up a little bit better. I think yeah, I do. Didn't pop off with all my macros, it's annoying. AMS to stop the mind link so I can focus on damaging. You can see here that it's the single target which is what brings this spec down. It's not bad, but there's no high burst. You can see that the other classes have very high single target burst. Got clattered by that pull, really. Right, more ads are spawning, and I've got 7 seconds left on breath. Ideally, I'd like this to hit breath as much as possible. I just got that Bone Grinder. What dog? Really trying to get this emissary down before I put my cooldowns because I want the versatility from it. There we go. Now I go. I was looking at my boss timers here and I didn't think that realistically it'd be worth saving my cooldowns for the ads to come back because the ads were not back for quite a while, so we said. And I had the Void Emissary buff. I really want to get these lavas down, but at the same time this boss really needs to die, or that shield really needs to die. So that's why I do the A-bomb grip to get them all there. Balance Druid dies anyway. Now we're within Soul Reaper range now. Still get hit by this pool. Yeah, almost die there. Thank God for being a DK. Soul Reaper is still very good, especially in this build. I would say it's definitely worth using because it still does a decent amount of damage. When you get to the AoE, then Soul Reaper you can kind of just leave it, but on single target fights, yeah, go ahead. Soul Reaper, the Void Emissary coming back now. Really there, I think I should have Death and Decay to get that cleave off, but you see that the damage that I'm doing is pretty much the same as the damage that I started with. However, everybody else has kind of dropped down a bit. It kind of goes to show that the spec actually has decent, consistent damage. Now I sent my Frost and Fury there, and I forgot that we have another pack here, so realistically I should have actually saved it for here. So you see at the end the overall damage. If I'd have actually saved the Frost and Fury, I could have done even more damage than the overall at the end here actually says. The trouble with this spec is you do kind of find yourself overcapped on everything, overcapped on buffs, and the priority of things that need to happen. It's very messy, very chaotic. At the end here, we finish on 2.08 million, which is better than the Shaman, better than the Balance Druid, and we're doing the Shattering Frost build. So playing Shattering Frost, managed to top DPS. I do a good amount of damage. I think in the last Mythic Mist key plus 13, I did like 2.1 for breath, but the Shadow Priest didn't do any damage in that key, so I took all of it. So in a key like this, if we don't have people blasting the mobs, we will do even more damage. So Shattering Frost is definitely alive and well and kicking. Tune in soon and I'll get a guide out for that.